My experience with everybody at your organization has been very positive. Certainly we're talking about personalities of organizations, yours is very friendly. Well, initially, my boss, who's the CEO, got an email just out of the blue. I don't even know. He doesn't remember where he got it from MyOutDesk. And he mentioned it or said something to me about how it looked interesting, and I kind of noodled on it for a while. And I then was just talking to him, saying, we on the leadership team kind of do everything: empty the dishwasher, order the supplies, make sure people have pens, do the financial reporting. I mean, from top to bottom. And there's a lot of things that we're doing that we don't really have someone in the company that we would want to burden them with in some ways. But we could offload a lot of this stuff and be a little more organized if we took a look at, hiring a virtual assistant and seeing if, they could help with setting up meetings and taking notes at meetings and doing ordering, collecting when people say, I need this, I need that, and then actually putting the order through. So those types of more tactical things would be really helpful. And he agreed, and so we reached out to you, and pretty quickly we were able to get a few candidates. I did some interviews and found Nysel, who's my virtual assistant, and really liked her a lot in that initial call. And she started, I think, like a week later, and she's been with us for over a year now. So that has worked out really well for me personally. She mostly works with me. I do lend her out occasionally to other people, but I try to protect her for my stuff when I can. We do try to assist our customers in learning about the system, of course. We want to have webinars, we want to send newsletters out, and we also want to help them with examples of how they can use the platform that they can copy. And so I was thinking that it would be great to have a little more resources on the side of a person who could help with graphical creations or making newsletters or more on an editorial side of things. And so we found Camille, and she's been working with us probably about a year at this point. I think she started a couple of months after Nysel. She actually works for another person in another department, and she helps out with a lot of that kind of editorial creation. And she seems really happy, and they're happy with her. She's working a lot, I know. And then we also have another person who we hired for the sales department, he's JJ. He does lead generation. And we have a webinar tomorrow, actually, that went to the list that he's been creating, and we have at least 25 really solid leads from some big companies that have signed up. We're excited about that one. We have a lot of other people too, but real gems in there, and that come out of the list that he's been working on.
That's awesome. What's been the biggest surprise delightful surprise working with MyOutDesk?
Well, the biggest thing I think is that they're just so nice. All three of them are just super friendly, really want to help, always eager to do anything you ask them to do, willing to ask questions. They're confused, and that's really a strength, because a lot of times people don't ask questions. It's really a skill, I think, for a person who would be willing to say, I don't quite understand what you asked me. Can you help me do what you want or get to what you want? That's been really great.
One of the biggest objections that our sales team has to deal with is how are they going to learn my business? And I'm a unique business. And actually, I think, Sheri, you guys are actually a unique business. Big data, research, competitive analysis, and layered on that, your technology with remote people. So how did you onboard these folks to make sure that they were successful in the company? And what advice would you give to somebody thinking about hiring a virtual assistant through us?
I think it's been different for different people. So JJ and Priscilla, who's the sales guy, they, I think, talk on the phone every day. They don't think that they use any other real means of communication. I don't think they do any kind of DMing or anything like that. So they just talk and discuss what they're going to do and email back and forth a little bit. Nigel and I are on Slack all day long. So, occasionally if I ask her to do something that's more complicated, she'll ask for a Zoom or something, and we'll kind of go through it together, maybe record it so that she can follow up on it later. But most of the time, we're just talking either on WhatsApp or on Slack, and kind of clarifying. And
That's cool. You're like the gateway for Mod to get into your business. It sounds like you're parting the seas for virtual assistants.
yeah, well, that's what it's been so far. I really like Nicel so much. I want everyone else to enjoy it.
That's so cool. What advice would you give somebody considering like the virtual assistant and they've never done it before, and then your world of tech or data and market research? Like, what would you tell somebody considering this?
I'd say there's no reason not to try it. I mean, the way you're set up, you can easily just go for a month and see how it goes, or try for 6 months. You're not tied into it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You can try a different person. You can work with the management supervisory team at MyOutDesk. They've been very receptive when I've had questions or wasn't sure if something was the right approach, certainly at the beginning. And I feel certain that if it didn't work for some reason, they would help make that transition as far as informing the person that, it wasn't quite a right fit and finding somebody else. And I think that made it feel pretty safe, because it wasn't forced into keeping something that wasn't working. I felt pretty free to try.
Now that you're almost 2 years in, 3 virtual professionals, and you've worked with us for some time, what do you think the cost savings is if you were to hire somebody local in your market that would be your assistant and fill these other roles?
Well, I think we're probably paying about a third what we would pay if we had someone in the States, especially working full time, because the benefits in the US are crazy right now. So that, adds a lot of overhead to hiring US-based employee. And our preference, at least for our organization, if we're going to hire in the US, we want to put those dollars towards technologists if we can. Especially we're talking about purely IT, people who actually have their hands in the computers. We need them where the computers are. But a person who's a virtual assistant or even a programmer, they can be anywhere.
Good. What else would you leave us with today, Sheri? And thanks for your time, by the way. You're amazing.
Let's see. I would say that my experience with everybody at your organization has been very positive. Certainly we're talking about personalities of organizations. Yours is very friendly. And I think everyone is trying to be as helpful as they can. And that's quite a pleasure. So, I always feel happy or satisfied when I speak to someone at MyOutDesk, because just the nature of the organization is open and, as I said, friendly. So that's a good thing. So I think that an organization who's thinking that this might be helpful, to reach out to you, to talk to people in your organization and try out a virtual professional, there's no downside to it. There's only upside, because you can get a lot from people having these extra hands to help you.
Yeah, I love it. Sheri, how much time do you think you've saved personally having a virtual assistant over the last 1.5 years, 2 years?
Gosh, hundreds of hours.
Hundreds.
Yeah. There's just a lot of things I just don't have to do anymore. But more, I think, from my perspective, it's the things that I really couldn't get around to. So not only is she saving me a lot of personal time because I don't have to do certain things, I can get things done that I wouldn't have that just wouldn't have happened if I didn't have Nigel around to help me out.
And actually, that's the definition of scale. You give away the things that you can give away so you can focus on the most important things. And those typically drive revenue or make the company better or, push the needle forward. Is that, you would agree with that?
I would, yep.